how to land real estate investors as bookkeeping clients fast. My name is Zach Pasquarello. I run my own bookkeeping business. I have 85 bookkeeping clients. I've been doing this for 5 years. Now I make these videos simply because I love talking about my bookkeeping business. I love teaching other people. I have helped hundreds of other people start and grow their own bookkeeping business. Now I simply teach you based on my own personal experience. I'm teaching you what I do in my business right now. Everything I talk about is based on what I have already done, tried, tested, and true. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about how to land real estate investors as bookkeeping clients. I have a lot of real estate investors. They are amazing bookkeeping clients. Let's talk about it. Why are real estate investors ideal bookkeeping clients? They have consistent transactions, rental income, insurance, utilities, repairs and maintenance, interest payments. They have transactions every month that need to be recorded, need to be categorized. Also, there are a lot of non-traditional business owners who are also real estate investors. These people need bookkeeping. There are a lot of regular people who are employees who are not traditional entrepreneurs. They are not full-time business owners, but instead they are real estate investors, and they might just have a few rental properties on the side. There are a lot of these people. They need a bookkeeper because as a real estate investor, you file a special return on your taxes, a Schedule E for your rentals, and you need to differentiate your expenses based on which property. So if you have 2 or 3 rentals and you have 3 interest payments and 3 utility payments and 3 trash payments coming out every month, you need to differentiate. Is this for 5 Circle Avenue or 6 Main Street or 30 Pennsylvania Avenue? You need to differentiate between these expenses and which property do they apply to. Also, rental income, money coming in. Real estate investors have recurring revenue, and so these transactions need to be recorded. Also, real estate investors, once they get started, they typically don't go out of business unless they sell their rentals. Versus a hair salon, they probably need a bookkeeper, but maybe they do it for a couple years and it doesn't work out. In contrast, a real estate investor buys a rental property. They have a high likelihood of keeping that rental property. As long as they have rentals, as long as they're flipping properties, they need to have a bookkeeper to categorize their transactions and allocate their expenses. So there is very high lifetime value in real estate investors. There's a lot of them. They're busy. They're usually successful. They're busy. They need a bookkeeper, and they need a bookkeeper for a long period of time. So as long as you do a good job, it's a great niche to have. The biggest pain points for real estate investors, I already touched on it. Differentiating these transactions between properties. And that applies to long-term rentals. It also applies to flipping. People who buy a property in bad condition, rehab it, fix it, put it back on the market, usually short-term, 6 to 12 months. These real estate investors are flipping properties. They want to know how profitable is each flip. So there's this thing in QuickBooks called class tracking. And so you need to not only differentiate transactions based on the vendor, also the category. For example, who did you pay? Home Depot. What did you buy? Supplies. You need to take it a third step. There is a third variable when it comes to real estate investors. This is why their bookkeeping is so important, but also a little bit complicated. The third variable is the property, or in QuickBooks, class tracking. So not only who did you pay, what did you buy, which property does it get allocated to? This is one of the biggest pain points for real estate investors, class tracking. This is important for long-term rentals. This is also important for flipping properties. There's another thing, cash flow tracking. This is kind of a gray area between bookkeeping and CFO services. I don't get into cash flow, but if you wanted to offer cash flow tracking, cash flow assistance, cash flow management, you could help your real estate investors manage cash flow, because for a lot of these people, it's not their full-time business. It's just a side long-term investment. They're looking for passive income, but sometimes cash flow does get tight, especially if they have a big repair coming up or a big tax bill coming up, or maybe there's a vacancy in the rental. So if you can offer cash flow tracking, I don't do this, but if you wanted to, this would be a huge upsell for real estate investors. But make sure you charge appropriately. Make sure you charge more than what you would for standard bookkeeping, because this is a more advanced service. This is going above and beyond traditional bookkeeping. And then just overall financial clarity, another pain point for real estate investors. This goes hand in hand with class tracking. They want to know, how profitable are my rentals? How profitable are my flips? It's not enough to simply look at your bank account and say, I'm good. I've got $10,000 in my bank account. We have survived another month. We all know financial reports go way deeper than simply cash in the bank at the end of the month. You want to look at, on an individual property basis, how profitable are my rentals and my flips. So how can you solve these problems? How can you stand out? Talk about your services. Whenever you're creating social media marketing content, talk about class tracking. Literally just listen to everything I just said and learn it and rephrase it and use it in your marketing content. Talk about class tracking, talk about cash flow, talk about financial clarity, financial reports, timely financial reports, so that you can judge the profitability of individual flips and individual long-term rentals. Develop a system. So class tracking does get difficult. So you want to develop a system for identifying transactions and allocating them to the correct property. I'm not going to go into it too much in this video because it's more of like an in-depth, I could probably make a whole 20-minute video just on developing systems for class tracking, but you need to figure out a way that is easy for you to scale, but also manageable for your clients, because ultimately they need to give you this information. If they go to Home Depot, you don't know if it goes to 1 Main Street or 5 Circle Avenue. So they have to tell you, which property does this transaction go to? Google Drive, spreadsheets, receipts, pictures of receipts with notes written on the receipts. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. Just develop a system to share information, because ultimately that's what we do as bookkeepers. We collect information from our clients, we analyze, interpret, and then we enter the information into QuickBooks so that we can generate financial reports. Another good way that you can stand out is fine-tune your real estate knowledge. If you are already a real estate investor, this is a great way that you can stand out, because you can pitch yourself as, I am a fellow real estate investor. I have a couple rentals. I flip properties on the side. That's actually why I got into bookkeeping for real estate investors. I'm just using as an example. Figure out a way that you could stand out. So whether you do it yourself and you have experience, or you go to real estate investor meetups, or you have a niche and you tailor all your marketing content specifically to real estate investors, or maybe you brand yourself as a real estate investor bookkeeper expert. Either way, doesn't matter. Figure out a way that you can stand out and separate yourself from all the other bookkeepers. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with real estate investors and they say, we had a bookkeeper in the past. She didn't know much about real estate. This time, I'm looking for a bookkeeper who specifically knows real estate. So figure out how to solve their problems and stand out, and I promise you, people will line up and beg you for your services if you know how to solve the problems of real estate investors. Learn how to solve the bookkeeping problems for real estate investors. So next question, logically, how do you find real estate investors? Facebook, great place. A lot of my social media marketing is tailored around Facebook, and it's great because a lot of real estate investors gather on Facebook. Facebook groups are great. I guarantee you, in your hometown or your local community right now, you could probably join a Facebook group For example, Central Pennsylvania real estate investors, Philadelphia real estate hackers, Pittsburgh real estate group. I guarantee you, in your hometown, wherever you are, there is a Facebook group that is relevant to real estate investors and your local area. Join these groups, connect with other real estate investors in the group, learn from these groups, read the comments, read the posts, figure out what these real estate investors are talking about, struggling with, inquiring about, looking for. Learn the lingo, learn the people, learn the big names in your area. Find real estate investors on Facebook. Guarantee you it's a great place to be. Local events, local in-person meetups. Real estate investors love to have local meetups. They're usually during the weekday, Tuesday, Thursday, and they're usually in the evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. They're usually monthly. A lot of my local real estate investor groups have monthly meetups. So you could join these groups. It is a time commitment. You have to drive there. You've got to sacrifice your evenings with your families, with your spouse, with your significant other, with your friends, with your dog. You've got to sacrifice the evenings, which I know isn't possible for everybody, myself included. It's hard to get away in the evening when all their kids are home. But if you have time, go to these networking events, go to these in-person meetups. It's a great way to meet new people and to build trust and build relationships with other real estate investors. Just be careful when you go to these networking events. Don't be too salesy. Don't be too pushy. Focus on building real relationships first, and then you can pitch your services after you get to know people. How do you speak their language? This is important. And you're not going to know how to speak their language in the beginning. But if you join the Facebook groups, if you go to the meetups, if you watch videos like this, you will learn eventually how to speak their language. And this is going to be really important for your sales consultation so that you can learn what keywords, buzzwords to bring up. And I'm not talking about fake it till you make it. I'm talking about actually learn this language, learn these key pain points so that you can actually intelligently talk about them during your sales consultations, and it will prove to them that you are a real estate bookkeeper expert. I'll give you a couple ideas. Class tracking is already one. Schedule E for their rental income and expenses on their tax returns. EMD, escrow. EMD, earnest money deposit. So every time you buy a house, usually you have to pay the broker an earnest money deposit, basically saying, I'm serious about buying this house. Here's a $5,000 down payment. Here's a $5,000 escrow deposit. As long as I do everything I can to buy this house, here is $5,000, proving that I am serious about buying this property. And so this is a $5,000 payment as a real estate investor, and so this needs to be tracked appropriately. HUDs. This is a statement, either HUD or ALTA, HUD, or ALTA, ALTA. HUD or ALTA, these are documents that you get at closing whenever you buy or sell a property. Acquisition, disposition. Acquisition, acquiring a property, buying a property. Disposition, selling a property, disposing of a property. These are terms that flippers use: acquisition, disposition, HUD, ALTA, purchase, sale of houses. Cap rate, BRRRR method, ARV, after rehab value of the property, private money lenders, hard money lenders. There's a ton of terms. Holding costs, commissions, finance cost, rehab cost, closing costs, cost of goods sold, work in process, WIP, inventory. There's a lot of terms that are specific to real estate investors. I generally say bookkeeping for real estate investors is some of the hardest bookkeeping I've ever done because it's the most complex. For example, if you're flipping a property, all of the expenses that go into flipping the property are not recognized until you sell the property. It's treated as inventory. This is something I didn't know when I was just getting started. So if you purchase a property to flip it and you pay a general contractor $10,000 to flip that property, that is not a $10,000 expense. That goes into inventory or WIP on your balance sheet. And then when you sell the property, you move it off the balance sheet and you put it towards cost of goods sold. But it's just little stuff like that that I didn't know, which is why bookkeeping for real estate investors is incredibly complicated. So I don't recommend, if you're just getting started, might not be the best idea to pick real estate investors as a niche. But as you get started, as you grow, real estate investing is an amazing niche because there are a ton of real estate investors who need help with their bookkeeping. A couple more points here. So I'll just recap real quick. Oh, also, I guess I forgot to say, if you made it this far in this video, thank you for watching. I have a course for sale. Of course I do. Buy it if you want. Don't buy it if you don't want to. If you want to spend money and fast track your learning, check out the link in the description of this video. There's a course for sale. If you want to buy it, amazing. I also have a ton of other digital downloads and consultations you can sign up for. I've got a weekly meeting every Monday at 3 p.m. for $49 a month. You can join us for a live Q&A. And I also have an investment fund. I lend to real estate investors. And so I offer 8% up to 12% fixed returns to investors into my fund. You just need to be an accredited investor and you can invest into my fund. I pull money from investors and then I lend it out to real estate investors. So check that out. If you want to invest in my fund, the link is in the description. Check out all the links, blah, 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 ton of resources. Check it out if you want. Back to the video. Offer free value to build trust. One of the best marketing tools I have are my YouTube videos that specifically target real estate investors. How to do bookkeeping for real estate investors. QuickBooks tips for real estate investors. How to reconcile your accounts as a real estate investor. How to do class tracking as a real estate investor. Create free tools. I can't tell you how many times people have called me and said, hey, is this Zach Pasquarello? I say, yes. How can I help you? They say, I was just watching your video. I'm a real estate investor. I'm trying to do my own bookkeeping. I found you on YouTube. Your tutorial was super helpful. I tried to do it on my own. I realized I don't have the time for this. So I figured I'd hire you to just do it for me. That has literally happened a dozen times, if not more. So create free tools on the internet, tutorials, handouts, spreadsheets, PDFs. Create these free tools, give them out to people, and then say, if you need more help, reach out to me. I would love to help you with your bookkeeping. Or you can use these tools as a lead magnet to get people's email addresses. And then you can send them out emails, you can send them monthly updates, you can send them more free tools and more resources, offer value, prove to them that you truly are a bookkeeping expert, build trust, help them out for free, and then I promise you they will end up paying you, hiring you to do their bookkeeping in the future. The power of niching down. So being a real estate bookkeeper allows you to become an expert. I have learned so much. I have learned how to actually help these real estate investors. I'm not just a bookkeeper. If you hire just a bookkeeper, the real estate investor has to teach me everything I need to know. But as a real estate bookkeeper, I already know what to do. I already know the chart of accounts. I already know how to do a journal entry for a HUD, for an acquisition, for a disposition. I already know how to put all the holding costs and the rehab and the finance and the commissions and the closing costs. I know how to put all those costs onto the balance sheet, and then I know where to put them whenever you sell your flip. So I am so incredibly valuable. I have had a lot of real estate investors come to me after they had a previous bookkeeper and they said, I'm done with them. I need to hire somebody who actually knows what they're doing. I've seen your videos on YouTube. I've seen your posts on social media. I've seen your comments in the local real estate investor groups that I'm in. It seems like you know what you're doing. I will pay you whatever as long as you do my bookkeeping correctly. That is the power of niching down as a real estate investor bookkeeper. People are willing to pay you a premium for your services because you offer a premium service. You truly are an expert. You can save people so much time and so many headaches. You can organize their finances. I promise you, it makes such a difference. People are willing to pay a premium if you are a niched expert. If you know bookkeeping for real estate investors, people will pay you a premium. Last point, how to price and package your services for real estate investors. It is a little bit different. So I charge $3 per transaction per month to my regular entrepreneur clients, but real estate investors need class tracking. It's more work. It's more communication. It's more back and forth. It's more emails. Instead of $3 per transaction for real estate investors, I typically charge $4 per transaction because it is more work. It's that simple. Request their 3 most recent bank statements, request access to their QuickBooks. First, ask if they want class tracking, recommend that they get class tracking, explain to them somebody on your team will need to tell me which property goes to which transaction, but explain to them how valuable it is for their Schedule E for tax returns, for internal management, for judging and evaluating the profitability of each flip. They need class tracking. Charge a premium for your premium services. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm doing a 52-week series. I'm putting out new videos every week. I'm trying to teach you everything I know about starting a bookkeeping business. So subscribe to my channel, check out my playlist, watch all my other videos, leave me a comment below. I don't respond to all the comments, but I do try to read all the comments. Check out the links in the description of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next week.